Hello, I'm Alexis. Nice to meet you or see you. So this came up on a call with a client today, or a new client, and I want to share. I want to share what I shared with her, which is many of us are over preparers, right? Many of us get really stressed about feeling prepared, and so we feel like we have to over prepare, and that makes even more stress, right? So what's going on behind the scenes there? And here's what I shared with her is that for many of us, when we over prepare, what's actually happening is we're not really sure what's ours and what's Grace's. Meaning, if we knew exactly what elements we brought that are the magic, we wouldn't worry about the pieces that are somebody else's magic or life's magic. But when you're not sure what your unique pieces are, what your special sauce is that you bring to the table, then the gut reaction is to control everything because you're not exactly sure which element is making it work out perfectly. So you've got to control all of it because you're not sure which part is your unique magic. So if that's you, if you're over preparing and you get really stressed about over preparing and feel like you have to really work hard to make sure that everything's going to be fine, tune in instead to what is your unique piece. And if you want help with that, that's what I do, right? I help you figure out what your purpose is and what your soul is here to do and what makes you special. And there's another piece to it that I want to share. So that's the first main piece. We're going to go quickly through this today. That's the first main piece. It's about knowing what your unique piece is. And then there's the trust. There's the trust. So even if you know what your magic is and what you uniquely hold in the world, that doesn't mean you trust life, grace, the divine, God to do the rest of it, right? And so we can get really scared that if we don't take care of everything, that it's not going to work out. But here's what I want to say. That is the space to work. It's a trust building space. So first you got to know your own magic and what you bring. And second, you've got to build the trust that you can let go of control. Let go of control. And so many of us have the desire. We say things like, I want to feel like I'm in the flow. I love when it's just all working and things just happen and it goes magically along. But the flow inherently means that you're not in control. Just like cruising down a river, you're not in control. The river is, right? The direction of the current is in control. And so even though we want that, we crave that, we're also a little scared of it when it comes to us being on the hook. And now if you're a professional who's made a mark for yourself by always having it done and always exceeding expectations or getting to a new level, perhaps because you pressure yourself to over prepare and you really stress yourself to make sure that everything's perfect, it can be really scary to know what your magic is and let go of control of the other stuff. It can be really scary because the questions may come up, well, what if it's not good enough? What if it's not up to my standard? What if it doesn't reflect well on me? What if it doesn't go well, right? So it really is this give and take with trusting life to do the pieces that aren't yours to do. And to trust that it's possible it might turn out even better than if you controlled all of it. So really what's going on behind the scenes of over preparing is first, not really knowing yourself, not really knowing what I keep calling it special sauce, which is not the best name for it, but like your unique gifts are in the world. And two, not trusting life. Not trusting life. And so the mind kicks in and says, I've got to control everything. And when the mind kicks in, what do we end up with? Stress. We end up with a lot of stress because now we're pushing. We're pushing, and that pushing doesn't feel good. So if you want to be in this space of flow where we feel like, okay, we know what's going on, we know how to show up, we know how to be in that space of flow, then we've got to do a little bit of trust building, both with yourself and with life. And on a day-to-day basis, that can look like doing really little tests, right? Like what happens if you just let somebody else respond to that email? What happens if you, somebody has an idea? Oh, I'm so glad somebody has an idea and you're like, okay, let's see how that works. Let's go with it. You know, it's just practicing. It's practicing, it's practicing, it's practicing, and looking, really, really looking at how it turns out, Because for most of us, we don't need to be in control of everything. We just want it that way because it feels like that's our vision, and so we're going to create it. But there's creating it in the flow, and there's creating it no matter what. And it's the no matter what that's stressful, right? So maybe try asking for help. Maybe try letting somebody else bring their vision to the table. Maybe try collaborating. Maybe try, if people want to help out, letting them help out. That can be a big piece of it, and letting them do it how they want to do it. This applies to at home too. You can build that trust at home in your relationships with your family. You know, like, it's amazing to me that my husband does things completely differently than I would do them. And so you can test on that level. Still the same outcome, but trust them to do it their own way. You know, build that little bit of trust with life. So have fun with it, play around with it. Maybe try it in places where it's not going to be as big of a deal, like letting your kids make cookies than it would be at work on your next big project. You know, build slowly. But tune in to what are the special pieces that you bring and what really do you not need to worry about. Because it adds too much. It adds too much. You don't have to be the master commander of everything. You have to be the master commander of the unique gifts of you. And then trust life. Trust life to let it work out even better than you expected. And maybe that's your new mantra. Everything I do works out better than I could plan. Everything that I'm involved in ends up better than I could ever imagine, you know? Or every time I let go, it works out better than I could have thought. You know, play around with those mantras, play around with those phrases, and see how it goes. I want to keep this short because I am not a master of short lives, so I'm going to do it under 10 minutes. Let me know what you think of this. If you need more clarity, if you need more depth on this, but really two things going on. One, you're not clear on what exactly it is that you bring to the table, and or two, you're not trusting life. You're not trusting grace, life, divine, everything else, other people sometimes, to do the 99% of it that's not yours. So start to build that trust in small ways, have a little fun with it, make it like an experiment, and see what the results are. And the thing is, ease is over here, and we're over here, and we want to get to ease, and we know that it's possible, but there's a mountain of fear in between, and that mountain of fear is about letting go of control. And it's the same for all of us. So the scariness of letting life take over and not having to control every detail from here, it's terrifying. And you're not alone in that. But it's worth it. So practice. Just practice in small ways. Let other people make things. Have somebody make a birthday card that you would normally buy, you know, like something small, and play around. Okay, let me know. And if you need help honing in on your gifts, you know where to find me. Right here. I'm right here.